holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you fuel up for brekkie, lunch, or dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. They just drop them at your door, people. You'll save time and eat well. You'll stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while taking all of your holiday to-dos in stride with good meals in the tum-tum. If you're too busy with all this stuff, these meals are easy to get done. They taste great. All you've got to do is head over to factormeals.com/expandingreality50 and use code expandingreality50 to get 50% off. That's code expandingreality50 at factormeals.com/expandingreality50 to get 50% off.
A client met his banker to discuss opening a restaurant in a busy airport. In us, he found a partner that understood the importance of reaching for the sky. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Mac.
A choice right now, between fear and love. It's just a rock.
Out of the dark night of ignorance and into the shining light of truth.
Expanding reality. A population of citizens capable of critical thinking.
We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are.
There's a level of reality where everything dissolves into an ocean of energy.
We empower our experience by insisting on our authenticity.
That's very profound. Very.
Expanding reality.
Welcome to Expanding Reality. I'm your host, Brandon Thomas. This week we have Mark Gantt on the show. He is an actor, a writer, a director, an egoless husband, and a humble father. His 2010 Bannon Way trailer will be linked in the show notes. You guys check this thing out. He wrote, directed, acted, everything in it. It's a really cool thing with a great cast. On this episode, guys, we covered a lot of really cool topics as far as his career in Hollywood, as far as what he does, and also we have some fun with it. I introduced him to the Mandela Effect, and it's a lot of fun. So you guys check this episode out. Amazing dude, one of my favorite people I've ever talked to in my life, Mark Gantt. Thank you guys so much for listening today. We have the great Mark Gantt here with us. Mark, how are you today, buddy?
I'm fantastic. Excited to be here.
Yeah, right. Writer, director, actor, egoless husband, and amazing humble father here. So you check a lot of boxes, man, and I've been looking forward to speaking with you. You've got an amazing career. If you don't mind, just tell my audience just a little bit about yourself.
I started in the film industry, from the ground up. I started as a PA to a driver to the art department, and then worked my way up into being a prop master on $75 million movies, and then decided, I really want to be an actor. That's really why I came here. And so I transitioned out of that and started taking some acting classes and started acting. And while I was doing that, I was like, God, I really like directing. And so I started directing some shorts, and then I started writing. And so then I sort of transitioned out of all those into, becoming a writer director. And at one point created my own show for Crackle called The Bannon Way, that I wrote, co-wrote, created, produced, starred in. And it was just it was a great experience for me to learn that I can, I can create my own sort of version of my life, and not have to be waiting for somebody else to cast me, to tell me what I can do. And so
it's perfect.
So, yeah.
And I like the many hats element of it, because you did ground up it, which now, it just makes you more versatile. It makes you more apt to do any job. And then you can layer your experiences and your understanding from those different perspectives that you had in the industry. And I think it's awesome. So I do want to talk to you about The Bannon Way, because that is such a cool deal. I mean, the cast alone is incredible.
Thank
so
you.
the story's great. You're the lead, of course, and it's very well acted in, very well directed, very well written. I even like the murder assassin chick trio, which your wife plays one of. Yeah. And
Yes.
So you've got a killer cast in this thing. So it was made in 2010, and actually what I'll do is I'll go ahead and link the trailer in the show notes, the YouTube trailer.
so people can just click directly on that and they can kind of see what it's all about. But your co-stars there, Vanessa Marcel, she of course was the love interest in The Rock. She was Nicolas Cage's girlfriend. Gabriel Tigerman, which not only incredibly talented, dope ass last name. So I get why you got him. And then of course your wife Brianne Davis, and then Michael Ironside. Man, that he is like on my bucket list to talk to. Such a cool actor. He has been in some of the most fun films. Of course, Total Recall, Starship Troopers. I mean, all sorts of cool stuff. Top Gun, and then also he was in Synchronicity with your wife as well. And I like how it all wraps around together. So tell me about that and how that came about.
Well, the project itself started with a frustration with my acting career. I was doing really great stuff in class. I felt my teachers felt that I was doing really great work, but I was not getting the opportunities in the real world. And so I sort of, was hitting a wall with that. And I was in a class, and my teacher, I've told the story, but my teacher at the time was giving a critique to my scene partner, and he was basically telling her that her famous sister, was not as talented as her, but she had to build her own door and walk into it. Like she had to create her own career. Like she couldn't try to duplicate what her sister had done, and or expect that it's supposed to go that way. And so I came home and just something hit me, and Brianne, who was my girlfriend at the time, was there, and I came in and I wrote, "Today I quit fighting," and it just felt like I was always trying to make it happen, wanting somebody to cast me, wanting somebody to do this. And I realized I know how to make movies. I know how to do production. I know how to write. I know how I was doing. This is what I was saying. I was sort of starting to direct. And so I wrote down a list of 3 people that were writer directors that I knew wanted to work with me, instead of people that I was trying to go after that didn't know who I was. Yeah. And one of them was this guy, Jesse Warren, who was in class, and he had written a script the year before that he handed me and said, "You're perfect for this part. You're the guy." And it was a little too similar to another movie that was already out, but I love the character. And so I came to him and said, "Hey, what if we do something different? What if we make a short film out of this and we rewrite it and we sort of create something out of this?" And, long story short, we sort of decided it could be a web series. And then out of the web series, was wait, what's a web series and how long do they have to be? And we're we don't really know, but a friend went to Sundance and sold a movie. We're well, what if we did a feature length that's also cut up as a web series, and then we can sell it as a full feature. And then we have a DVD sales and, that way. And cut to, a year and a half later, writing every day, creating, the first 2 episodes, a trailer. And we pitch it to all these places around town, from Fox to NBC to Universal, and end up selling it to Sony and Crackle. And so we came in there as me as the lead. He was the director. They loved that. And we had some other cast. We had Stana Katic, who was in The Castle. She was actually playing Vanessa Marcel's part originally in the first 2 episodes, but she was doing The Castle that just got picked up. And we had some other people that were smaller parts, and Gabriel Tigerman was one of them. And they said, well, they said, we're fine. Whoever you guys want, we love it. And then literally about a month before we're about to shoot, they said, we actually need some names for Walmart. Mm-hmm. Walmart? And they're yeah, so we could sell it on the shelves at Walmart. We need some recognizable names. But you guys don't have any extra money to do it. So just, but we need to find it. So we had a casting director that was with Sony, and they were sort of doing their thing. And we just kept getting all these, no's as a web series. We didn't really have the money, obviously. And then, my producing partner, Bailey Williams, was let's just go ask our friends. We got to know somebody that knows somebody. Absolutely. And so that's what we did. And because he had said, my mom used to date Robert Forster. And I was because he's on her list. And he's yeah, I know. And I'm okay. He's I could text him. I'm you can text Robert Forster. Yeah. And he said, yeah, let me text him. So he texted Robert Forster and said, can I send you this stuff? These guys are great. And so sent him the stuff, and he said, yeah, let's meet for lunch. And we met at his place over at this restaurant that he was there every day, the same restaurant that Quentin Tarantino walked in and gave him the script for, his, like what he talks about, like changed his life,
Jackie Brown. Yeah.
Yeah. Jackie Brown. And so we met with him there, and he was just like, yes, from the beginning. He's like, I love what you guys did. You guys are smart. You guys are, really, really like this. And so we got him. And then I had another friend of mine who was my agent, was our agent. And he said, what do you guys need? What about like somebody like Michael Ironside to play your uncle? I was like, yeah, that's exactly what we need. He's like, well, I actually know him, so I could actually send him a note and see if he would be willing to talk to you guys. Same thing, same friend of a friend kind of thing. Send him the stuff that we had done. And then we, again, met him for lunch, and he was just great. He's like, just so you guys know, people usually hire me to sort of watch the director on projects like this, because you guys usually don't know what you're doing. And then the actors, haven't really done this before. So I'm here. We're both so intimidated, thinking, oh, if we say yes, he's going to just take over the whole thing or whatever. And he's like, nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And,
That's good.
And he was great. And they were just, they couldn't have been the sweetest, more sweet. They were just like the nicest guys ever. And Vanessa came through, a friend of the casting director, actually. And she said yes immediately, and she was fantastic. She was from day one. She was gung ho. She was on board to do it, and everybody was. It was one of those ones where I was like walking down, in this corridor of this huge warehouse where we were shooting, and there's like an electrician up on the thing. He's like, "Hey, Mark, how's it going, man? Good shoot so far." And I was like, "This is like an idea in my head."
Yeah.
Into 2.5 years later, and I'm on set, and there's like 70 people manifesting my vision right here, and it was such a powerful moment. I was like, oh, right. Because I was so caught up in it, like, just like, you're just trying to do everything. But there was that moment, I was like, oh yeah, that was just started as an idea of like, I'm tired of fighting, to I'm driving a brand new Jag with this like expensive suit on, with these guys that I like, some of my, some heroes in terms of actors. So
yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. And it's such a cool project, man. It's so well shot. It's real. I got, even just off of the trailer, man, you get like this real lock stock kind of idea about it, but it's a fun thing, and it's very well casted, very well written. Like I said, it's awesome. So again, I'll link that in the show notes. You guys go check that out for sure. I wanted to ask you about something that you were talking about manifesting your reality in a whole. Are you a subscriber to that idea?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And not even the whole woo-woo element of it. There's a lot of people, like Rhonda Byrne's The Secret. Everybody took that and was like, why don't I have a Jaguar right now? I wanted one. I wrote it down in this book, and I didn't put any work towards it. I didn't do anything.
Right.
But you took the steps. And so when things start aligning like that, that's really when you not only take control of your life, but you stop fighting the flow of the river. You point your feet down and you let it go, because that is your river, and you realize that you are creating your reality. So what did that feel like? When was your first moment to where you were like, I can actually do this? Because then it's a domino effect after that.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, because yes, that, there's the, you make the decision and the whole world conspires, in your favor. And, the only sort of, sometimes the stumbling block is yourself, because, this is all sort of the energy of everything is moving.
Yep.
And if you're the rock stopped as the everything is just passing you by because of whatever fear, resistance, all those things that can come up. So, I think that the biggest thing was showing up every day and going past that sort of stuck place where, let's say, like Jesse and I disagreed on a certain thing, early on. And it was like, okay, is this where those, we just go, we're not going to work together because he thinks it's this way, I think it's this way. And we both said, okay, I'll compromise. And we move forward, and we got to this next thing. And something started happening when, we started to get things together, and we felt really good about it.
Yeah.
And we felt like we have something special. We got like sort of this lightning in a bottle. And then we started pitching it to some people in town. And this is before we shot anything. And we got this is really great if you guys were like bigger names. It'd be great if you guys had some more money, because no one's really paying for this kind of stuff. And so that at that moment we were, up to that point, one of us was always like more optimistic, at some point in the journey. And at that point, we're both like, wow, we're like, I guess we're not gonna be able to make it.
Yeah.
And something I had a dream that I saw us making it. And I woke up the next morning, I texted him, I said, let's just shoot it ourselves. Like, let's shoot like a trailer of the first 2 episodes or the episode. And just, so we have something to show these people and go, this is what we can do.
Yeah.
And we were already doing some sort of camera tests and stuff, but it wasn't, and even then we were like, this is it. It's just, if we had a better camera, we had a thing. And we did that. And we like a month and a half later, Valentine's weekend, we shot this thing for 2 days. We got all these favors. I, called up Jag. I got a Jag for free. They dropped it off for the weekend, brand new XF. Had never been, it's not even out in the US at that point. And we had these amazing locations and got this hotel for free because, we said we were student film, and like all this stuff was just like, that's where it was like, it just started going, oh, it's all like falling into place. And we had put together this website so that we were able to send people to the website to say, hey, this is what we're thinking. So we had, at the time, BMW had these short films. I don't know if you ever saw them, but it was like directed by, like Wong Kar-wai to, the RSA guys, to Tony Scott. And we saw those and we're like, yeah, I'm like, I'm him. So our site was full of, all these like name actors, the trailer for, the BMW films, and said, this is the show that we're trying to make. And we bought into it, we believed it. And then so everybody else believed into it. And I remember even the first day, the DP and I were talking, and he was saying on the first day of shooting, and I was looking at the, some playback, like, oh my God, it looks amazing. And he said, yeah, but you guys created it. Like, you guys had the vision. It's like, yeah, I'm just putting this, you guys got the, you even got the props, you got this, you got all these favors and all this stuff. And it's like, that's where it's sort of like this magic started to happen. And so when we were able to do that and then, wanting it to be done within 2 months, and it took 9 months to get finished, those 2 episodes, had we finished in the 2 months. And this is where to me, it gets a little woohooey, because we wanted it done in 2 months. We wanted it done by April 30th or something. And just didn't happen. The editor wasn't great. We had to find a new editor. We had to do this. We had to, so 9 months later, we're finished with it. And when we're going to my friend who's an agent at this big agency who got us the Michael Ironside, he was like, I'm on my way to Sony. They're looking for something just like this. Now, 7 months ago, they weren't looking for that.
Exactly.
And so that was another sort of click for us. We're like, oh yeah, like you got to trust, you got to keep showing up. Cause we could have stopped, when it wasn't working. We could have said, this is not, it's just not going to, whatever, or force it, or try to get it out there anyway, even though it wasn't perfect. And it was never going to be perfect. It was never perfect, and it will never be perfect, but to the best that it could be. And so I think those are those 2 moments for us where it was like, we had our own control of it by just doing it. And then when we were out of control, like we're so powerless of the whole process. It just sort of started taking off itself. And that's where it just sort of, within that though, is always just, it's not just like a, like life. It's not just like a kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, there was the yes, they agreed, and the lawyers and a thing and biz affairs. And, oh, there's a financial crisis and everybody's like freezing up. Nobody's got any money. Okay, let's wait till next year. All these little things. And yet there was still like sort of this flow that was like above all of that. That was like, yes, that's what we're supposed to do. See, this is all working together. Wow, this feels really good, kind of thing.
It's amazing. And the way you put it is perfect, because it is part of the story. You've got to have that dichotomy. You have to have the things that work out unbelievably well, and the things that just kind of seem to be a little bit of a roadblock for you to tell the universe. That's, in my opinion, the universe's way of saying, okay, are you sure you want this? Because if it is, we can keep going, but you need to show me that it's worth it to you.
Right.
And to your perfection element of it, I think it's great. It's wonderful. But have you ever heard the thing in art that there's no finished works of art? There are only abandoned works of art. As a musician, I can tell you, no songs are ever done, right? You just kind of go, okay, that's good. I like that. And then you move on with it. So I wanted to ask you, because you have been into some more of the esoteric films. You've done some more directing, writing, and acting for some more esoteric type of things, which makes me think that you are either either it just worked out that you got those deals and so you wanted them because you believed in the project and the people involved, or is there an undercurrent that you're kind of interested in things like the paranormal and things like extraterrestrials, things like the ancient, like the movie Foe with the archaeology guy that did the Babylonian trends.
Right.
That kind of stuff is so cool. And then of course Night Visitor and Night Visitor 2. I mean, these kind of had these these paranormal type elements to it. Is that something that's of interest to you?
Not entirely. It's not something that, it's not something that I'm like, I lean into, but it was one of those things that, again, on some sort of, other level of like, oh, I'm sort of drawn into these sort of projects like this. And it's not that I had sort of led with that. It just sort of happened that way. And all those projects were these really like, and how did I get that?
Yeah.
How did this happen? This just happened like this. And, in a weird way, three of them were all tied together from like one person sort of led to these other three things, which was really weird.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Okay.
I didn't have anything in I've never been the guy that's been that, interested in it, to the fact that I would want to do something like that. It just seemed to be sort of drawn in some weird way to it,
Yeah. And it's just fun, to take yourself out of your day to day to do stuff like that. I mean, it's just cool. And I'm sure you hung out with some people that were big believers in that. Did they give you any crazy stories or anything like that about? Maybe-
Well, yeah. On Night Visitor 2, we had Chip Coffey, who is the, sort of like, the guy that's like the paranormal, the real deal. Like, and we, to listen to him talk about, even when we were doing it, he was talking about, as we're doing this one scene, he's like, oh, well, there's, this happened to me once when, we walked into this house, and he's like telling us about how the spirit was there, even though it was supposed to next door. And so they had like come by to like, they're setting up, all the cameras and stuff in this one other house, even though it was supposed to be in the main house in this house next door. And, as everybody was setting up, it was like the spirit that was supposed to be next door showed up at that house. And, and they were just started getting everything ready, and everything was falling apart. Like the wires kept getting unplugged and the stuff. And so by the time they got to that house to shoot something, nothing was there, but it was all at the other house.
It was next door.
So, it was next door. And so, we were doing this thing here, and he was just saying, hopefully he's going to show up, because we were all getting ready to act. He's like, hopefully this shows up, because he might be next door,
Yeah. Send the bat signal out, or just somebody run over and get him. He's at the wrong house. We gave him the wrong address. Yeah.
The wrong call time, wrong address.
Right. Well, I had some. So let me ask you this: who's your favorite person that you've ever worked with, and who's somebody that you would love to work with if money, time, options were no boundaries? Somebody alive.
Oh gosh,
I know. I like to put you on the spot.
Yeah. So the best experience I've had working. There's so many really great people, but George Clooney has been one of my, favorite stories. Cause he's one of those guys that, besides being, ridiculously handsome and charming and talented and, he's such a caring and thoughtful person, and thinks much. To me, I always feel like it's outside of him. Like he's sort of had these gifts, great, but like, what can he do with them? And it's always been about, how can he make a difference in the world? And I've always appreciated that about him. And when I got a chance to work with him, I was a bartender in a small scene in Ocean's 11 with Brad Pitt. And he was the day that we were shooting was like, they're shooting the back poker room, and George and Brad are in that scene. And so there's a scene where George walks past him behind in my scene. So they were both there, and just watching him walk up on the first day, on my day, on the first day when I was there, he'd walked on set and he just knew everybody's name. Like he said to the grip, "Hey Bob, how's it going today? How's your kids? Did you have a good weekend? Great. Hey, how's it?" And he's like, he knew everybody's name. He knew what they were doing. He knew their life. He introduced himself to me right away when there was like the Lakers finals, and they were on the tailgate, and he like got me up there just so I could look over the crew to like watch the thing. And it was just Brad Pitt, me, and George Clooney on Hollywood Boulevard. And I was just like, I mean, come on, I just like I've arrived. And but it was just I've always felt like he's somebody that is trying to make this place better, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in terms of like who I would want to work with, or do a project with, I've always felt like J.J. Abrams is somebody that is like he's always feeling like he's wanting to tell these, in a sense, these sort of otherworldly stories, sort of making that. So maybe I am drawn to that and I don't even know it, but,
you might be. He did a great job with the new Star Trek.
Yeah.
Those are awesome.
Yeah. But again, he's somebody that, wants to tell interesting stories, and it doesn't feel like it's always about him or this ego, it's just about, entertaining and stuff. So
yeah, it's
you
about
put me on
cool
the spot.
stories.
I said J.J. Abrams. I mean, I could have thought about somebody else, but
what it does, I think, is it forces your supra-conscious, the one that's above, to kind of answer more honestly than you have time to think about, and that's why I kind of like those kind of questions. I think you nailed it. I think that was a great answer. So you're off the hook. All right. So, what is a talent that you wish that you had?
Oh. There's so many that I wish that I had.
This was my wife's question, by the way. I asked her if she wanted to ask something, and she said
I love
one.
that.
Yeah. Hers was memory. She wants a perfect memory.
Oof, that would be nice.
So you can memorize everything. You wouldn't have to misremember lines or anything like that, right?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because that's literally, like, I was just thinking, as an actor, that was the thing that it was like this sort of anxiety that I would forget the lines. Because when I was 5 years old in my first play, I forgot my line, and I didn't know that I forgot my line. Like, I had forgot the line, and then it went, and it was like, I forgot my line. I forgot to steal the watch. I forgot this whole thing. And so I've always been like, what if I'm going to forget the line? But a talent, I wish, what I wish? I wish that I could understand money and business, sort of that, something that doesn't come naturally for me, So for me, it's always, I feel like, I understand the creative part of stuff, but I never, it was never somebody that I, was like, oh yeah, you build a business, you do this, you do that, you do all these, kind of thing. It's like, I feel like if I had that, it would be nice to be able to like be more effective in the world that way,
Well, and retain your creativeness, because a lot of those people wish that they had your talents.
Exactly.
It's kind of a trade-off. So you'd want to be able to balance the two hemispheres of the brain, because that's a totally analytical. They couldn't come up with anything, but man, they can. So you can hire somebody like that. That's even better. And then retain your talent. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
I didn't know if I was going to get that and have to lose something else. So I didn't know.
No.
I thought you were giving me something extra. I thought
not
it was
at all.
A special
This
power,
is it is, and that would be the ultimate special power, because not only do you retain the right half, the creative half, but then you can also just like the beautiful mind math stuff going on, where you just get it. No, absolutely, it's an accentuation on your talents for sure. Okay, so are you a big conspiracy guy, or do you look into those at all?
Not much. No.
I just had a question about if you had a favorite, or one that you heard from some wacko at a party or something. You're like, that's the craziest damn thing I ever heard. I didn't know if you had just like a favorite or a craziest one.
Yeah, not specific. I did have the most shocking thing to know that a friend of mine who I had, I knew when he first got sober, and I've only known him since he's been sober, and somehow something came up, and somebody's like, Johnny, I saw like a post of yours on Reddit from like 10 years ago. And he's like, and he's like, yeah, it was this whole thing about 9/11 and who you thought did it, and this whole thing. And he's like, yeah, I really went down this deep thing, and I was on this, this whole thing. And so that was my only sort of thing of like hearing somebody that I had like didn't know would, he wouldn't seem to be somebody that was sort of had gone off the wild side, the deep end on like a conspiracy theory, but he basically drove himself crazy thinking, about 9/11, about, who he thought was behind it. And that got him sober, that like taking him to that, almost to the mental institution about it.
Yeah, you could drive yourself nuts. I consider
myself,
you? Well, do you? Yeah. So I consider myself more of a conspiracy analyst. So I like looking at it, but I don't, because I don't watch sports. I don't, that's what I choose to fill my time with, is interesting books, fun thought experiments, things like that. Right. I'll give you a rabbit hole to go down though, because it actually, a lot of it applies to TV and movies and logos and stuff like that. Right. Have you ever heard of the Mandela Effect?
No.
Okay, so check this out. This is fun. I'll give you a couple of them. So the Mandela Effect in a nutshell is people remember things differently. And so the conspiracy theory element of it is, it goes really, really deep, but we'll do this very watered down, is that something happened and we shifted into a parallel dimension, all of us, or most of us. Some of us, though, have memories from the old dimension, right? So this gets a little out there. So let me give you one. So are you a Star Wars fan at all, or have you seen the movies?
Yeah.
Okay. In the line, whenever Darth Vader is with Luke, does the line go, "No, I am your father," or "Luke, I am your father"?
Luke, I am your father.
Never happened.
Wow.
I'm blowing your damn mind right now. Okay, this is the fun. Okay, let me give you another one. Okay, Disney's, Snow White. Does the witch say "mirror, mirror on the wall" or "magic mirror on the wall"?
Oh, mirror, mirror.
Never happened. This will be a fun thing for you to... This will be a fun thing for you to experience. So basically, there are all kinds of people out there, tens of thousands, if not millions of people, who remember things differently. And this is what's interesting about the conspiracy theory. They remember logos differently. Peanut butter, was it Jiffy or Jif peanut butter?
I want to say Jiffy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So most people say. See, you're from my timeline. I remember that as well, but it's not. It's Jif. It's never been Jiffy. I'll give you a couple more. Monopoly Man. Describe him to me.
Top hat, tails, walking, sort of in a walking position kind of thing.
Like, with the money bag?
Yeah.
Did he have anything on his face that you can remember?
There's like his little eyepiece.
The monocle?
Monocle, yeah.
Never had it.
Didn't have it.
Isn't that crazy? Dude, so these are the ones that are fun to me. It's not 9/11 and people dying, you know what I mean? These are the ones that I find interesting. Okay, let's do Curious George. Did he have a tail or no tail? The monkey.
No tail.
No tail is correct. Now, a lot of people, well, in this timeline, right? It depends on how you view it. But isn't that a fun one?
Yeah. Interesting.
You got to check it out because there's a ton of them, man. A lot of them have to do with movies.
So when did this happen? When was this?
Yeah. So there was a psychic or a lady that does psychic stuff. Forget it. Something Brown or Mary Brown or Mary Bowman. I can't remember. But she came up with this theory in 2003 or 2009. She just wrote a post online. I remember Nelson Mandela dying in the 80s in prison and never living to become president. Well, a lot of people came out and said, I remember that as well. I even remember my mom and dad crying about it on the TV whenever I was younger, seeing his funeral and all that. Never happened in this timeline, right? So it really, it's something in our lives that's interesting because it's not one or two people misremembering things. It's millions of people misremembering things. And that's why it's called the Mandela Effect. It was this one lady that came up with it, or that just kind of said, hey, I remember things differently. Another popular one was it Berenstain Bears or Berenstain Bears? Remember that book with the little bears?
Yeah, Berenstain.
Berenstain. Never had any. Isn't this crazy?
What?
Not the direction I thought this interview would go, by the way. I just wanted to have some fun with it. I didn't know if you'd ever heard of it, and a lot of it has to do with movies, logos, things like that. It's a fun rabbit hole if you got some time, man. Just, the internet, so just have fun with it.
I'm going to be obsessed with trying to figure this out, yeah.
They actually made a movie. It was a pretty low-budget movie about it called The Mandela Effect, and it's pretty good. It's got all these in there,
Right.
It's got to do with this dude losing his damn mind, about it, and it really affects his day-to-day. As long as you just have fun with it and you don't let it affect your day-to-day,
right.
I think it'll be fine. But it's a fun little thought experiment to go down. So enjoy that. You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Brienne's going to be like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, give you an easy one. Genie bottle washes up on shore. You got 3 wishes, unlimited. Can't wish for more wishes, of course. But other than that, go for it.
I would love for the first one to be that we didn't see color or race as what it, a difference in any sort of negative way, as much as, we're just all the same people.
Yep.
Second, that there was a pill like in Hunger Games that I could eat whatever I wanted, take this pill, throw up, continue eating like it was like I had never had anything.
Okay.
Which that's probably out there right now. So that's maybe the genie's already made it. And third, I'd like to live forever. I don't want to die. I'd love to continue living. Yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting one. I'm always curious by that one because everybody around you would die, all your loved ones. Now you get to form new connections and continue on. And that's pretty cool. Is this out of a desire? Is that out of a fear of mortality?
No, I never thought of it till just now. Like literally just as it came up, I was like, oh, that would be interesting to like live forever, like be able to, have morph into different lives, different people come in and, whatever that would look like. I mean, there's a part of me that feels like we do sort of, we do come back. And so, whatever, however many lifetimes I'm on this one here, am I going to figure out what's this chunk that I'm figuring out now?
Yeah.
I'm a Sagittarius, so, it feels like I'm supposed to be close to the start again, but like the loop, but which I'm like panicking going, Jesus, I'm supposed to figure this shit out. What happened?
That's it. It's just a ride, I mean, that's what I think at its core. Maybe we possibly do, or an even better one. And one of my favorite things, one of my favorite thought experiments would be, have you ever read the book Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh?
Oh, yeah.
Heard of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the concept that we're all God experiencing itself subjectively. So I'm you, you're me, in any dimension, in any reality, and God just wanted to experience itself subjectively. So it gave it, this element of five sense world, with dichotomy, with hot and cold, dark and light, and all that. That is what the ride is all about, and it's just experiential. So in a way, I think your wish number 3 is checked off the list. I just don't think it happens in this consciousness, because I think you have to forget for the experience to be what it is.
Right, I'm sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome. I love those answers. I think those are fantastic. Okay, if you had the world's attention, everybody in the world, they could all understand you in any language that they listen to, for 30 seconds, what would you say? You don't have to fill up the whole 30 seconds. I was just curious about what your message would be. That's a good damn question, wasn't it?
Wow. Everybody's looking at me weird.
Everybody. I'm not editing this. This is just going to be you hanging out and me sipping tea.
Maybe just say that, we aren't what our limiting beliefs are telling us that we are, and that we are more powerful and more important than we actually think we are. And we all have a gift inside of us. We all have dharma. We all have this purpose that we have on this earth. And you're not going to hear it when the voices of the past, of the negative stuff is going on. You have to quiet those to hear it.
I love it.
So everybody be very quiet.
Yeah.
For the next 30 seconds.
I'll yield the rest of my 25 seconds. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's perfect to just meditation and quietness. If you could disinvent one thing, tangible, an idea, any of that, if you could disinvent something, remove it from the world, like it never existed, what would it be?
These questions. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're expanding my reality here.
It was bound to happen.
Wow.
And I did not send these to him ahead of time, guys. I like this off the cuff.
No, I wish you would have. I would have
a great job.
I would have come up with something stupid. I'm sure if I would have thought about it, I would have been like, disinfect.
You could throw something my way if you feel like it's unfair. I don't mind that.
No. I think it's totally fair and unfair at the same time, and I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Wow, I don't know.
Yeah.
What would that be? Do you have that?
Nazis.
What's something have you?
So here's the deal with this question, and this is why it's hard. No, don't. It was a kind of an answer, but kind of a joke question. Now, if anything was uninvented, right? If you had the power to just erase it, okay, the implications of that are twofold. Number one, nobody would have realized that it was even here to begin with because it just wouldn't exist. Therefore, the memory of it wouldn't exist, right? It's not like a Mandela effect. Number two, if anything that you choose to take away, it could change anything in life, right? So let's say, and this is going to sound horrible, but just follow me on this. If the Nazis were never here, maybe the fact that they were here is the reason the world is not in much horrible shape, right? I think everything has a place, no matter how horrific, because it teaches everybody lessons. It gives us the opportunity to all come together, but you may not have met your wife. You may not have had your beautiful son. You may not have been doing the things that you're doing if you could eliminate something, right? Because even the worst things, fear. I mean, even fear is something that motivates you to move forward. And so it's a tricky question that I don't know how to answer, but I would say Nazis though. So.
I can appreciate that answer, and at the same time, the first thing that you said, I think, is absolutely spot on. And without getting political, I think we've seen our country go through some major shifts that that have happened, and I think if we hadn't had so much sort of darkness on one side, and that there might not have come to light, that we wouldn't be able to see this and be able to say, oh wow, look, we got some issues we need to take a look at. So without that, we maybe not, you don't get that sort of breakdown before the breakthrough kind of thing. So
absolutely. And even the dichotomy is what's so interesting about it, because we do live in a world of dualism, right? It's a dualistic nature, and you have to have one to know the other. But if gun to my head, I'd say just hatred, man. Just people that are shitty to each other, man. I think that's the biggest one right there. Okay, let's do, because I know we got to wrap it up here. Let's do one more. Okay, I'll
tell you right now, I do not like that little giggle that you just did, because you're just like, oh.
Well, because I've got kind of a softball, and then I've got another one like the last one.
He can barely do the other one. Wait till he gets this one. Jeez.
Okay. Let's do a softball then, and I'll tell you the other one before we wrap it. You don't have to answer it. Okay. Dinner with 3 people, alive or dead, anytime in history. Anybody, right? What would 3 people that you'd like to just sit down, have an evening meal with?
Hemingway.
Okay.
Lady Diana.
Okay.
Let's go like Marcus Aurelius. Let's just throw those 3 together.
Yeah, why not? And language is no barrier, by the way. There'd be some sort of universal. Yeah. Okay, I like that answer. That's perfect. Do you want the question I was going to ask you?
Yeah, please. I'm afraid to hear.
What is one thing that you wish you could unsee?
Oh. I think I could answer that. What will it be? As soon as you said that, I don't know if you, I think you're younger than me, but growing up, there was the VHS band, tapes that people got of Faces of Death.
Yep.
And my friends and I were like, yeah, we got to get them. And I remember watching the first 10 minutes of one and going into the bathroom, throwing up, and just could not, it was just one of those things that's just I don't remember which one of it was that we saw, but I was like, I don't want to see this. I did originally, I really thought it was that we were all, everybody and my friends were all into it and, kept watching it, but I could not. And I don't remember which one I saw at the moment, but I just remember that feeling that I wish I could never have seen somebody die,
Completely agree. Mine was actually that exact thing. And my buddies know, don't send me stuff like that. People getting their limbs broke or anything. I can't handle it. I can't stomach it. The other one was a buddy of mine found a nude picture of Ruth Bader Ginsburg that he sent me one time, and I just wish I could really unsee that. So,
no.
I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm kidding. Mine is the same thing. Anything gory or anything horrific to animals or anything like that, I can't.
No, I can't. I can't. There's some Instagram guy that's like, they do, all the stupid people kind of thing. And it's like always them doing, like doing some stunt or something and like, falling, and like somehow I got on, like I remember like I somehow I liked it. I mean, I somehow followed them for something. There was like one funny thing, but then it was like the next video that came up was a guy on a bike and just going over and just like slamming. I was like, I can't do it. To like undo. Yeah.
Same. Yeah. And if I see somebody fall, whether I know it's going to happen or not, I cover the screen up. I'm like, nope, I don't want to see it. I can't handle that stuff. So you and I are like that. Okay. I think that's a good quality. It shows that we're not like psychopaths. I'm pretty sure,
exactly,
right? Okay,
exactly.
cool.
I think so.
We can check
exactly.
Psychopath off the list. Okay, good.
I got one thing going for me.
You got a lot of things going for you, man. So we're at about the agreed upon time here, man. We've got to do this again. You're a blast, man. You're
Likewise.
great.
Likewise.
So like I said, I will link to you in the show notes. Would you like me tell the folks where they can find you?
I'm all over the big interwebs. Mark Gantt, at Mark Gantt for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. And my website's markgantt.com, or my director's site's markganttdirector.com.
Cool. Any projects coming up? I know you're working on a TV show with your wife right now, but anything in the pipe that you're excited about?
I've got a couple Audible originals that I wrote and produced coming out about this. One of them is called Contra Costa, about these 7 serial killers that were all committing these crimes in Contra Costa at the exact same time, all found by one guy, Paul Holes, who is responsible for finding the Golden State Killer.
Yeah.
And so he started doing this investigation on this one missing girl, and they all thought for sure it was this one serial killer. So they did the DNA test, found out it wasn't him, it was this other serial killer. And then they started following him, which led to this other girl, and they thought for sure it was him, and it was another serial killer. And it was like literally this hotbed of Contra Costa. And it was just like this time when like, the freeways were, going all the way from north to south. There was like a lot of, hitchhiking, because it was, the
70s,
summer of love, the 70s and stuff, 60s, 70s. And so all that stuff was like this hotbed for these sick serial killers kind of thing. And so interesting, talk about like not wanting to see that kind of stuff, stuff. But there was something interesting about the investigation of that. And then another one's called The Injustice Collector, which is also coming out in June. So those are 2 things that I'm really excited about that are coming out this year.
Absolutely. That is so cool. Okay, cool. And there's a theory about that too, that the leaded gasoline was one of the reasons people were losing their damn minds back then. Have you heard about that?
No,
there's actually some science to that. Yeah, where it's like that's why things were so crazy at that time, especially in high populated areas. Was because of all that's why unleaded gas is because it was such an issue for people's minds, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, why not?
I'm learning something. I learned something. This is great.
All the time, man. That's great.
I thought this was going to be, where you're going to want to learn something from me because I'm so interesting.
I learned a ton from you, and you're incredibly interesting. Yeah. And I'll give you another fun fact. Do you know why giraffes' tongues are black?
No.
It's an evolutionary trait that they've developed over time because their food source is mainly in the tops of trees. So to prevent it from getting sunburned, it's black.
Wow.
Bam, dropping knowledge. So you learn new stuff. I
love that.
That's a fun fact. It's fun.
It is. It is a fun fact.
Mark Gantt, I can't thank you enough for your time, my friend. Thank you.
We'll
do it again soon.
Appreciate it.
You're
Please
wonderful.
do. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
A huge thanks to Mark Gantt for his time today. If you guys would like to find him, all the ways to do so are down below in the show notes there. Thank you guys for listening. We really do appreciate it. It wouldn't happen without you, so thank you. Any feedback that you want to give to the show here, it is going to be, we are found on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you want to email the show directly, it's going to be at expandingrealitypodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again so much for your time, and y'all be good to each other.
Recently, our client Tommy met his banker to discuss continuing his father's restaurant legacy. In us, he found a partner that understood the importance of passing the torch. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Tommy.
Grandma, can I have the chocolate chips?
This secret recipe moment made possible by Emory Heart and Vascular Center. When Grandma needed heart care, she came to Emory. The difference? Emory Healthcare performs more heart procedures annually than anyone else in Georgia, which means better outcomes for our patients. And we offer advanced and personalized treatments developed by our top specialists that others don't. Like Grandma knows, where you start your heart care matters. Smart Cookie. EmoryHealthcare.org/smartcookie.